Welcome to MySchool training. In this video, we'll be looking into user profiles. These are different to the students and are used to create guardians, staff members, and donors within inside of your MySchool instance. To create a staff guardian user, click on the plus icon in the Quick Action toolbar and select Staff Guardian. A new user profile will be opened. Let's now look at the fields available within inside the user profile. As we can see, just like a student profile, the user's information is split up into tabs. The first tab is the Particulars tab. Here we can enter the details such as title and common name, and also specify whether it is an individual. In this case, we're creating an individual user. You can select the gender, if appropriate, and enter a passport, which is a unique field within inside of MySchool. The other fields are not mandatory, as we can see no red asterisks. Now we move on to the Contact tab, which is an important part of creating a user profile if your users wish to access the system. On the Contacts tab, this is where we enter the primary email address of the users. This is used for communication, but also for logging into the system. All users who wish to use MySchool must have a valid primary address email. In the Address field, this is where we enter the address of the user. This address can be shared across all of the family, so it can be shared between attached guardians and their relative dependents. Depending on your regional settings, you can have address line 1, 2 or 3. Simply talk to your CSM so that we can set that up for you in the system. In the City field, it will populate with cities of already created profiles. If you wish to use the SMS system, then all guardians must have a valid cell phone entered within inside of their profile. This can be used for communication purposes. On the Dependents tab, this is where we can add a context to the user and make them a guardian so they can access the Guardian portal. We find a dependent within inside of your student profiles created on your system. We apply a relationship and then give them permission to access. If we save the profile, we now notice underneath the user's name that the system has given the context of a guardian. They will be able to access the Guardian profile for the student that was attached as a dependent. On the Security tab, we can activate or deactivate users. We can send login invites from here. We can also view their activity to see if they have logged into the system successfully. An important field in this tab is the user ID. As we can see, each user within inside of MySchool has a unique MySchool ID. This is also available within inside the URL of the profile. The Employment tab within inside a user profile is used for staff members to gain the context of being a staff member. It is important to set all of your staff members as active employees within inside of your school. If you wish to add custom fields to your user profiles, we can do that via our support channel. These will appear within inside the Employment tab of the user profile. The Qualifications tab within inside a user profile can be used to store teaching qualifications of your staff members, and also class their primary, secondary and tertiary language capabilities for teaching. The Teaching tab within inside of MySchool is the third tab where we can add context to a user profile. In this case, we can make the user a class teacher, so they gain access to the class teacher user group rights, a course teacher, so that they gain access to the course teacher inherent user group rights, or we can add a mentored student to their profile so that they gain the rights of a mentor. Once we save the profile, we will now see that the context will change for this user. Previously, he was a guardian and a staff member, but now we can see that they are a staff member because we made them an active employee, a class teacher as we've added them to a class within inside of their teaching profile, a course teacher and also a guardian. The Timetable tab within inside a user profile shows their own timetable. When we talk about a user timetable, it's very similar to the student timetable. It will only show the courses to which they are scheduled. But for general staff users, it will show appointments and holidays as well. The Files tab is used to save personal records. It cannot be shared between the user and is just for internal purposes only. If you are using the bus management system within inside of MySchool, you can designate this user to be in charge of a simple bus route. If you are using the donation module within inside of MySchool, then the donor tab is where you can set this user to become a donor. Once set as a donor, they will have access to the donor user group and have rights to the donor platform. It's easy to create users within inside of MySchool. Just don't forget to give them a context. The context is important as it will control their access rights to various parts of your MySchool instance.